All right. Rules Confirmation and Public Elections Committee. First up, let's call the roll. Councilmember Evans. Get in, Emily. Councilmember Evans, did you get in? I see your name. I see you unmuted. Raise your hand if you're here. WebEx, raise your hand if you're here, Aaron. Councilmember Evans. All right, come back to that. Councilmember Lee.
I am here.
Great. Councilmember Murphy. Here.
Accounted for.
Councilmember Rutherford.
Here.
Councilmember Sepulveda.
Here.
Councilmember Sledge is in codes. Councilmember Stiles.
Present.
Here. Okay. I'd like to make a motion that pursuant to the Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 regarding electronic meetings as extended by Executive Order number 34, make a motion that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? All right, 6-0 in favor. Councilmember Evans, any success? Okay. First up, we have resolution 2020-354 by Bradford, a resolution honoring BNA K9 Wolf on her retirement. Councilmember Bradford is here. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Or second?
Second.
Any discussion? And y'all, I prefer not to scroll up and down, so please feel free to just ask for recognition if anybody wants to speak. All right, seeing none. Council member, are there any no votes or abstentions? Okay. 5 in favor, none against, with Rosenberg abstaining. We are at resolution 2020-386, Hurt Benedict and others request that Nashville utility companies allow customers to pay any delinquent bills over a 12-month period. I see Councilmember Hurt. Can I have a motion and a second on the bill, please?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Yes.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, any no votes or abstentions? Thank you, 6 in favor, none against. Councilmember Evans, if you find yourself able to speak at any point, please feel free to just yell.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Resolution 2020-388 by Taylor O'Connell and others requests Mayor John Cooper continue the study by PFM Group Consulting LLC regarding the reduction or elimination of the Metro government's reliance on fines and fees collected by or through the criminal justice system and make such study available as a publicly accessible document. Is there a sponsor present? Councilmember Taylor, I don't see. Is anybody in the room signed on?
Mr. Chair, I'm signed on.
Thank you. Thanks, Councilmember O'Connell. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
I have a question. What is the cost to continue the study?
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to respond here.
Councilmember.
Thank you. So I don't anticipate this being any cost. This is work that council worked with the previous administration to initiate over a year ago. I think all that remains is actually to complete and release the work product, which is what this resolution seeks to do. So there should not be any additional cost in pursuit of this. If there is, we can come back and revisit it. We're basically just saying, hey, release the report. We're pretty sure the work is done. This, and by the way, this, you'll notice from the sponsors, this is one of the pieces of work that was from the 37208 committee. This, in fact, filing this resolution was one of the specific recommendations. We had given, we had talked directly to the administration in the period before COVID-19 kind of, changed everybody's ability to even think about policy priorities. But I think in the wake of recent discussions about just, public safety, criminal justice, this issue came back to the fore, and I'm eager to see the sponsors of the members who served on the 37208 committee here all aligned as sponsors.
Great, thank you. I renew the motion to approve.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, any no votes or abstentions? All right, 6 in favor, none against. Next up, Resolution 2020-389, Sledge, Bradford, and others request Mayor John Cooper and Nashville Convention and Visitors Court President and CEO Butch Spiriton formally withdraw Nashville from consideration for the 2020 Republican National Convention. Council member, is there anybody signed on to this that's here? Okay. I guess we can defer one. Well, I hate to defer by rule because it won't give them the opportunity to withdraw on the floor, since I think that this has been, I believe the Republican convention's already decided where they're going. Does anybody feel good about a motion to defer indefinitely, if I'm not mistaken? Councilmember Murphy, you're muted, and while I encourage that from time, never mind.
Hey now, sorry. I think, I believe that I've seen, and maybe Council Lady Sepulveda can confirm, that Jacksonville, Florida was the lucky city that got picked. And so
That's correct.
I don't think that this is something that we need to debate any further at this time. So I would recommend an indefinite deferral.
Okay, is there a
I'll make the
second?
motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you hear me?
Okay, then we are ready to vote. Are there any no votes or abstentions? Seeing none, 6 in favor, none against, indefinite deferral. Okay, Resolution 2020-390 by O'Connell recognizes Robert A. Bob Lackey for his 46 years of outstanding service to the Metro government of Nashville and Davidson County. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Connell, would you like to speak to Mr. Lackey for a moment?
Sure. This resolution is offered. We learned just a few months ago, many of you know, including those who had the pleasure of serving with last term, that since I took office, I had been asked by the Berry administration and then again by the Cooper administration to serve on the District Energy System Advisory Board, as its entire footprint is within the boundaries of District 19. Bob Lackey has been the staffer for that process representing Metro Finance, and his just commitment to the process throughout has been steadfast. And as I got to know him, got to spend some more time with him, spoke to colleagues in Metro Finance and learned that he was retiring this year, I thought it would be appropriate to recognize his service. We have, a relatively small number of civil servants who commit their careers with as much longevity and steadfastness as Mr. Lackey, and his 46 years have been remarkable. His tenure with regard to this board, the complicated questions that have arisen, the number of stakeholders he's worked with has been remarkable, and I'm pleased to invite colleagues to join me in recognizing him as he pushes on to whatever his next career will be.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further discussion? All right, anybody wish to abstain or vote no? All right, 6 in favor, none against. Thank you. Next up is RS 2020-391, Porterfield, Taylor, and others. Honors the memory of Tia Minry Barber Hale and recognizing her contribution to the Nashville community. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
So moved.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor, or anybody opposed or like to abstain?
Pardon me, Chair. I apologize. You did say to jump in and not raise your hand.
Yeah.
I would love to be acknowledged for a moment, please.
Go for it, please.
Thank you so much, and thank you for acknowledging me, even though I'm not on the committee. I would appreciate everyone's support on this. Tia was an amazing asset to the Nashville community. She was a wife and mother. She graduated from Metro Public Schools. She worked as an occupational therapist in Metro Public Schools, working with students with disabilities. Everyone that knew Tia loved her. She had such a passion for life and for helping people, and she was truly an asset to our community. And we just wanted to do something to honor her and honor her memory, and something that her husband and her daughter ever can look back on and be proud of the work that Tia has done. So I appreciate everyone supporting this, and would love for people to sign on to the physical copy once we are back in person, if that's possible. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'm going to say that I need to vote yes, and I'm going to hand the meeting off to Councilmember Sepulveda because I have to run into another committee meeting. So Councilmember Sepulveda, the committee is all yours. Thank you.
Great. Did we vote on that, Councilman Rosenberg, before you left? Okay. So any against or any abstentions? Seeing none, 6 in favor, 0 against. Next, resolution RS 2020-392 by Councilwoman Murphy. Referred to the Rules Confirmation Public Elections Committee, honors the Nashville Bar Association 2020 Liberty Bell Award recipient. Councilwoman Murphy, would you like to speak on this?
Yes. So there were 3 ladies who, of course, I didn't have it in front of me. I'm so sorry. So I can list them later on the floor. But they are being recognized by the Bar Association for being involved in the women's suffragist celebration and things like that. And so this is one that I'd like to bump from consent and ask all the women to sign on when we get on the floor. So I guess I'll abstain from it, so it will automatically be bumped.
Great. Okay. Well, then do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Am I doing this right? I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Okay. So 6 in favor, 0 against.
And Mark is an abstention.
And 1 abstention, sorry. 5 and 4, since Councilman Rosenberg is in another committee, and 1 abstention. Next is resolution 2020-393 by Benedict Van Rees and others. Recognizes Monday, June 1st to Tuesday, June the 30th, 2020 as Nashville Pride Month, celebrating the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities and their enormous contribution to the quality of life in Nashville and Davidson County, and further recognizes the 51st anniversary of the Stonewall riots, the 50th anniversary of the first Pride parades, and the Nashville's part in the 5th anniversary of the Supreme Court ruling allowing marriage as important milestone events for the LGBTQ rights movement. Is the sponsor present?
Good afternoon, Vice Chair.
Councilwoman.
Hi.
I don't know if you would like to speak briefly on this.
I just would, I hope that it's self-explanatory and that we have a lot of support for this. In fact, overwhelming support. This has been a heck of a week for the LGBTQ community with the Supreme Court's ruling. And I believe we'll have an upcoming resolution on that. But in the meantime, it is Pride Month, and I couldn't be more proud of the people in this country that are making sure that on a population that has historically been underrepresented as well as discriminated against, that we are gaining the rights so that we can't do that. And of course, also on a historic council that has the first ever LGBTQ caucus and serving with 4 colleagues. So I would seek the approval from this committee and also, of course, later on the floor. Thank you.
Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? I'll second it. All those, any opposed or abstaining? Okay, so 5 in favor, 0 against, since Councilman Rosenberg is still in another committee. Now we move on to the late filed resolutions. First one is by Councilman Mendez, a resolution appropriating to certain accounts to the benefit of various metropolitan governments of Nashville and Davidson County departments, $16,700,000 for the support of various agencies providing services to members of the community, $2,800,000 for the benefit of Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools students, $24 million, and for the benefit of community needs assessment, $500,000. And Councilman Mendez, can you speak briefly as to why it was a late filed resolution?
Sure. Thanks very much. This has got time urgency for 2 components of it. The $24 million part that is going to National Public Schools is time urgent because they need to order in time to get the devices for the school year. And then the $500,000 for community needs assessment. The idea is to try to get that going as soon as possible in order to advise the COVID-19 committee we're putting together about the needs in the community.
Great. Are there any questions? No? Okay. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I will second it. Okay. Any abstentions or noes? Okay. 5 in favor, 0 against. Next is a late file resolution by Councilman Mendez, a resolution approving amendment to a grant from the state of Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metropolitan Government of Nashville, Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Action Commission to serve youth and young adult with trauma. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second it. Councilman Mendez, can you speak briefly as to why this was also late filed?
Yes, and I'm going to be much less compelling about this one. This and the other 2, I honestly don't know other than I know finance and the administration are busting their tails like the rest of us are to get stuff done. And I really don't have a compelling explanation other than I got told they need to do it.
Council, lady, this is Cynthia Kroon with Metropolitan Action Commission. If allowed an opportunity, I'd like to explain why it was a late file.
Yes, go ahead.
The state of Tennessee informed us that if this grant was not approved prior to the July 1 start date of the new fiscal year, that any expenses incurred between that time frame and the next council meeting, we would not be allowed to charge it directly to the grant. So when we were told that, we contacted the finance department and made them aware that getting it in on the July 7th date was going to mean that charges would not be, we could not retroactively make charges to this grant. That was the reason for the late file.
Got it. Okay. Let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions or no votes? And Councilwoman Evans, are you on now?
Yes, I'm back on. Thank you.
Okay. And I don't know if Councilman Rosenberg is still in the other room. We're going to assume so. So that is 6 in favor, 0 against. Next is late file resolution, also by Councilman Mendez, a resolution of accepting a STOP, STOP, facility review technical assistant grant from the state of Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Office of Family Safety to promote a coordinated multidisciplinary approach to improving the criminal justice system response to sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking crimes. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Great. And Councilman Mendez, again, filed.
Yeah, this is another one where I hope somebody from the administration is on, because I don't have a good answer other than it was in the batch of things I was asked to present as late file.
Hi, this is Andrew Sullivan, the finance officer for the Office of Family Safety. We got this late from the state of Tennessee, and the turnaround time to get it into finance to get it approved for this just wasn't what we needed. So that's why I got late filed.
Great. Are there any questions or follow-ups? Seeing none, let's vote. All those, any abstentions or noes? Seeing none, 6 in favor, 0 against. Next is a late file resolution by Councilman Mendez. A resolution accepting a grant from the state of Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Office of Family Safety to fund staffing positions to help manage the multidisciplinary needs of its clients. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I will second. Councilman Mendez, as to why it was late filed.
Fingers crossed somebody from the administration is on that can talk about it.
Yes, it's Andrew Sullivan again from Family Safety. It's the same thing. We got it the same day as the previous grant through us, and it just didn't allow time to pass through the Metro channels. And it's a one from the Metro Action Commission that starts July 1st, and we wouldn't be able to start the grant in July 1st if it got postponed to the July meetings.
Great. Okay. Let's vote if there are any noes or abstentions. Seeing none, 6 in favor, 0 against. Next is a late file resolution by Stiles, Porterfield, and others. A resolution to recognize June 19, 2020 as Juneteenth and urge the residents of Nashville, Davidson County to join in celebrating Juneteenth as a day to honor and reflect on the significant role that African Americans have played in the history of the United States and how they have enriched society through their steadfast commitment to promoting unity, equality, and economic stability. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Great. Councilwoman Stiles or Porterfield, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, I also love for Council Member Porterfield to speak as well. I think the times that we're living in right now make it very clear to appreciate our history and the positive moments as we have several tense racial discussions, and to acknowledge this day and moving forward that this can be a celebration. I look forward to seeing this becoming an event that everyone is a part of, because it is something for us to celebrate. And we don't have a lot of those in this season. So, Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you so very much, Councilwoman Stiles, for those very, very true words. And thank you so much, Councilwoman Sepulveda, for giving me this opportunity to quickly speak on the importance of this holiday. Many people don't know about Juneteenth, unfortunately. Some people are aware that in September of 1962, when President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, there were many states who did not, in 65, when slavery was abolished acknowledged in the United States, there were many people that did not know that they had been freed. And when this information came to the people that were formerly enslaved, there had been a significant period of time in which they were still operating under the enslavement of the people that kept them enslaved, but they were not aware of their actual freedom at that period of time. So Juneteenth represents when they were made aware of their freedom in this country. And I do think that given the times that we're living in now, it's really important that we acknowledge and, in order to start looking at some reconciliation, it's important to acknowledge some of the things that have happened to us in our past. So this is a very important, a holiday that we need to give more credence to. So we appreciate your support on it. Thank you.
Great. Let's vote. Any abstentions or noes? Seeing none, it's 6 in favor, 0 against. Next, and it's Councilman Rosenberg's bill, but we'll roll it to the heel. So we'll move on to elections and confirmations.
Wait, I'm sorry, I have a late filed amendment that I'd love to just jump in real quick. My late filed amendment is on Tuesday. It might not be in the. Would have been in the late packet, and it is on resolution or substitute bill 2020-277 by Councilman Syracuse. It amends the Metro Code to allow non-conforming structures destroyed during the March 3rd, 2020 tornado to rebuild, regardless of the percentage of floor area destroyed. I've struggled with this, and that's why it's late. And so last night I read through it again to kind of decide whether I could vote for it or against it, because so often at the BZA I'm having to argue about non-conforming uses, yada, yada. And so talking to Codes Director Bill Herbert, speaking with Lucy over at Planning, they were okay with it. And Councilman Syracuse has said that this is a favorable amendment, that it sets a sunset at 5 years. So that's why it's late. Is I was in a moral dilemma and settled it last night with this amendment. So I appreciate your support in helping me sleep at night.
Got it. Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And I will second it. All those in favor? Well, any abstentions or noes? Seeing none, 6 in favor, 0 against. Okay.
One more. I have a late file as well on Bill 285 on the mask. And I updated the amendment to include the accountability factor for construction workers so that they would.
Second, I'm trying to look through the late file. I only see the Juneteenth one. Councilwoman Murphy, do you have it in front of you by any chance, or Councilwoman Stiles? We had a lot of very late amendments.
Is by any chance Hannah still in our meeting, or anyone in the office?
It
was filed.
We could roll it to the heel while I try and locate that. Okay. Let's move on to elections and confirmations. So I don't know if John Dorge, if I'm saying that correctly.
That's correct.
Great. Or Jocelyn Stevenson are on?
I'm here. Joycelyn's here.
Okay. Joyson, sorry about that. So first up is the Airport Authority, and we'll do the reappointment of John Dorge first for a term expiring April 5th, 2024. So Mr. Dorge, if you could quickly introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John Dorge. I've been on the board for 8 years, seeking reappointment. I work at Deloitte in financial services area, and very active in the community, working with United Way, Leadership Donaldson Hermitage, Chamber, and a lot of other organizations to help connect with my community.
Right. Are there any questions or follow-ups?
Hey, this is Erin Evans. Just wanted to say that John Dorge is kind of legendary in the Donaldson Hermitage, Old Hickory area with his work and community engagement, and really happy that he's interested in being reappointed. So thank you, Mr. Dorge, for wanting to serve again.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Councilman O'Connell? He seems to be on the phone now. Okay, any other questions? Comments? Okay, so let's go ahead and do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? I will second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any against or abstaining? Hearing none, 6 in favor, 0 against. Thank you, Mr. Dorge. Next is the appointment of Ms. Pronounce your first name for me again. I'm sorry.
Joycelyn?
Joycelyn Stevenson for a term expiring April 5th, 2024. Mrs. Stevenson, if you could introduce yourself real quick and talk a little bit about why you want to be appointed to this board.
Sure. I'm currently the Tennessee Bar Association's executive director. Prior to that, I spent 16 years in private practice in 2 law firms in Nashville, but I've been very involved in the community, president of 2 local bar associations and of the Council on Aging of Middle Tennessee. I'm very excited about the opportunity and to get more involved in the Nashville community.
Great. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, if I could get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Great. Any abstentions or no's? Seeing and hearing none, that is 6 in favor, 0 against. Thank you so much, Mrs. Stevenson, and we'll see you in the council meeting.
Thank you.
Next is the Civil Service Commission reappointment of Ms. Joanne North for a term expiring March 31st, 2025. Is Ms. North with us? Ms. North, I think you're muted.
I'm here.
There you are. Okay. Mrs. North, if you could quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Joanne North. I served 12 years as a council member at large. That was before term limits. And then I served as the assessor of property for 16 and a half years. And I retired in 2008. And about a month or 2 after I retired, Mayor Dean called me and asked if I would be willing to serve on this commission. There was a vacancy. The person whose place I took moved out of town, actually moved out of the state. And so I've been on it about 12 years. I filled out that term and then 2 more terms. And I enjoyed this work very much.
Great. Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments?
Council Lady Sepulveda, I would just like to say that Joanne North is a hero among us elected women in Davidson County and an aspirational figure for those of us who want to be elected women in Davidson County, and really a model citizen for the rest of everybody else in Davidson County who I haven't covered. She is energetic and spunky and a good time, and also she makes really good decisions on the board and is very thoughtful and very thorough. But I personally adore and love her and cannot imagine anybody voting against her. And if they do, don't let me know. So we're left to move for approval.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any abstentions or no?
This is Tanya Hancock. I had my hand up, but I'm not on your committee. No problem. I just wanted
No problem. I just wanted to let you know, I also, fully approve of Joanne North. Not only is she a fantastic neighbor, never have any complaints, and she's much too modest, as all the Norths are, where she not only was on the council at large for 3 terms in a row, but she was the first female at-large council member. She was the first female in the state of Tennessee to serve a countywide office, and she has never stopped. She still serves our community with the Kiwanis Club and with her church, and always has her ear to the ground and knows what's going on, and always responds diplomatically to every situation. So I'm in full support of her reappointment.
Great, thank you, Councilwoman Hancock. All right, back to voting. Any abstentions or against? Seeing none, 6 in favor, 0 against. Next, we have the Planning Commission appointment of Mr. James Lawson for a term expiring March 31st, 2024. Is Mr. Lawson with us? Miss, I see you. You're still muted. Mr. Lawson?
Still muted?
There you go. Now we hear you. All right. So, Mr. Lawson, can you quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
The one thing that I hate doing is talking about myself, but I will say that I served on the Planning Commission for 14 years, and the years were challenging at the time, and it was very rewarding to me as a long-term citizen of Nashville to contribute to its growth. I retired from healthcare and a lot of my community activities about 6 or 7 years ago, and have been sort of in the background assisting where I can with community groups that want to know, or individuals want to know about planning and so forth. And I said, well, the bug is still there. I think I have something to contribute, and hopefully can fill this vacant position.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments?
Council Lady, I will move for approval and tell Mr. Lawson I look forward to seeing him on Thursdays.
And I will second that.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, we're voting now. Any abstentions or noes? Seeing none, is Councilwoman Evans still with us? Seeing none, okay. That's 5 in favor, 0 against. And next is the Social Service Commission with the appointment of Mr. Michael McSturdy for a term expiring April 3rd, 2025, and the reappointment of Mr. Brandon Tompkins for a term expiring April 3rd, 2025. Is Mr. McSturdy and Mr. Tompkins with us?
I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Sturdy,
I'm here as well.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. McSturdy, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I have been in Nashville for over 30 years. I've done all my work in the nonprofit and public sector around social services, specifically a lot of work around child welfare. I'm CEO at Family and Children's Service and have been for the past 10 years. And prior to that, I was COO at Oasis Center here in Nashville and was Director of Child Welfare with DCS before that. I was happy to have been approached about this opportunity. Really excited to work around coordinating assessment and meeting of the full array of needs. Really looking at making sure there's attention around inclusivity and ensuring that all of Nashville is served by the network of social service entities, and encouraging the municipal system to really partner with the nonprofit, faith-based, and the state system as well. One of the things that happens is we're in Nashville, half of our social services are coordinated by state entities, and then another portion are local. And so to really, I'm excited to be part of the conversation about how to leverage that to work well together.
Great. Okay, any questions? I know that it is 9:31 now. Seeing none, any abstentions or no votes? Any comments?
I'd just like to correct your time, Council Lady. We are at 6:39. I know that you are anxious to get this over with.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know you think it's awfully late already, but it's just 6:39. Or 6:31. We're good to go. Move for approval.
Oh, got it. Okay, do I have a second?
Joyce Dowsett.
I'm going to take that in a second. And I think we've lost a couple of our committee members. So I think we are at 3 in favor, 0 against at this point. Great. Thank you so much. Next is the reappointment of Mr. Brandon Tompkins for a term expiring April 3rd, 2025. Mr. Tompkins, am I saying that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
I'm actually in the meeting. I'm just no longer on the WebEx. Councilman Rutherford.
Oh, got it. I will correct the pass vote to 4 in favor, 0 against. Okay, Mr. Tompkins. Mr. Tompkins, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Brandon Tompkins. I am a Nashville native. I currently work as corporate employment counsel for Smile Direct Club here in Nashville. And since joining the Metro Social Services Board, I have really enjoyed the work that I've seen them do for communities that are otherwise underserved and need a little bit more help with resources. And I would love the chance to get more involved and be able to continue that work.
Great. Thank you so much. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, we are voting. All those, any abstentions or no's? Seeing none, 4 in favor, 0 against. And Councilman Rosenberg, you are back just in time for your bill. So Bill BL 2020-304 by Councilman Rosenberg readopts the code of the Metropolitan, the Metro Government of Nashville and Davidson County, prepared by Municipal Code Corporation, including supplemental and replacement pages thereof, containing certain ordinances of a general and permanent nature enacting on or before December 20, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
So great. Motioned and seconded.
Second.
Great. Councilman Rosenberg, I don't know if you want to speak on this.
No, thank you.
Great. So any abstentions or no's? Seeing none, that is 5 in favor, 0 against. Councilman Rosenberg, Councilman Rutherford is on the line, but we can't see him on the WebEx. And then there is one more late filed resolution by Councilwoman Stiles, which you just sent over, if I am not mistaken.
Correct. Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I don't think you have been counting me at all, but I've been here the whole time. I'm just on the phone because I couldn't get on.
Got it. Okay. I think you dropped off from WebEx for a minute, so I did not see you. Which were you here for the last vote or last couple of votes?
I've been here the whole time. I've never been on the WebEx because I couldn't get on. I've been on the phone the whole time.
Got it. Councilman Rosenberg, I will correct that. Okay. So the late filed resolution by Councilwoman Stiles, I believe there is no number to it. It's hereby move to amend ordinance number BL 2020-285 by deleting section 2 in its entirety and substituting in lieu thereof of the following. Section 2, the Metropolitan Department of Health shall be empowered to enforce the ordinance for the violations of the ordinance. Enforcement action is to be taken against the business ownership or management and not the individual employee for violations of the ordinance as a construction site enforcement action is to be taken only against the employee's direct employer, whether a construction company or subcontractor. Councilwoman Stiles, could you speak briefly as to why it was late filed?
Yes, thank you very much. So I did have a conversation with OSHA and I was going over your suggestions, work. And of course, it's been very busy with the budget and the amendment. So I got it in, but it took a second to get back.
Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Any abstentions or no's? Great. That is 6 in favor, 0 against. And Councilman Rosenberg, that seems to be our agenda.
Great. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Great. And that concludes the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Chair Lady.
Thank you.
Thank you.